Lie about giving me a raise? Say goodbye to your income. I work as a subcontractor for an actually licensed contractor for a realty company. Basically, the realty company buys houses, and the contractor tells us to go to the new address, and my coworkers and I flip the house and get it ready to be rented out. When I first started a job, it was a difficult transition considering I was a plumber previously, but eventually I became a valuable asset to contractor's company, thus the realty company as well. The contractor was infamous for being a bit of an ass when it came to actual business and money. He was constantly yelling and screaming at the plumber, the painters, etc. about prices and how it took them too long and he wasn't paying that much. Which I would understand if the yelling was actually warranted. When it became tax season, he gave everyone else a 1099 and then said he lost mine and got pissed off every time I asked about it. This guy makes easily $2 million a year, so I don't really think $100 off the price matters that much. Not enough to get into a screaming match and ruin relationships with the other subcontractors. I have been working for him for about a year now at 16 hours. Not too bad for my area, but I make him a lot more a day than the $160 I make every 10-hour workday. One day I asked him for a raise, which he laughs and shuts me down immediately. After that, I decide to work harder, get houses done faster, and show him that I deserve a raise. A few months later, I decide to ask for a raise again, but not as directly. How could I be more useful to the company? So, I can increase my productivity, and both of us can make more money. He said, get a van and a trailer and then we can talk about more money, in his normal gruff tone that says, shut up and get back to work. After that day, I worked side jobs here and there. Worked a lot later than I usually would, and even all throughout the weekend. Saving up as much money as possible. I sometimes wouldn't eat some days just to save that little bit of money. He loved how much I was getting done and I could practically see the dollar signs in his eyes when I told him all that I got done every day. Finally, the day came where I saved up just enough money to buy my dad's old Ford van. Then not long after, I bought a little piece of crap 5x10 trailer that I had to fix up. The following Monday I pull up with the bright white gas guzzler and the fixed up trailer following behind. I walked up to him smiling ear to ear about my accomplishment, hoping he would be proud or at least happy about all that I have done. I tell him to look at my new toys and all he says is cool, and got in his truck and left. Okay, maybe he's just busy, I thought as I processed his extremely underwhelming response. At the end of the day, I finally have a moment with him to discuss my raise. So, I have the van and the trailer. I have saved up and done everything you said that I needed to do to make more money and be more of an asset to this company. He narrows his eyes at me. What are you talking about? You said that if I got a van and a trailer that you would pay me more, I said confused. I never said any of that shit. You have to actually work if you want anything else from me. I was devastated. I've been working my ass off while he sat on his ass and watched. I followed every instruction, completed in the very least 2 houses a week, and he acts like I do nothing for the company. I swallowed my pride and let out a quick, yes sir, and left his office. I was finally tired of dealing with contractor. Tired and defeated, I decided it was time to start looking for other jobs that actually had the possibility to move up. Then the company electrician gave me an idea. Adam is a good guy all around. If you needed advice or just someone to talk to, he was always there for you. I told him about everything that has happened with contractor and told him I was looking for other jobs. He simply said, you're not supposed to be here to try and make it to the top. You're here to learn. Learn everything you can and then one day you'll be the contractor. A better one than contractor for sure. Why not look into getting your general contracting license? It's not hard, you just have to work for it. That's what I did to an extent. I worked for contractor for years dealing with his bullshit. Until one day I decided to get my electrician's license. Now he doesn't decide what I'm paid. I do. That is, if he wants me to work for him. And if not, then I have other customers to make my living. I took his words to heart and came up with a plan. Revenge. I did some research on becoming a general contractor in my state. Basically, I would need books to learn the material, references, a bank reference, and to pass the test. The books were pretty expensive. With bills, taking care of my family, and a monthly van payment, it seemed impossible for now. Until I found a group following in my area that needed a handyman to do a variety of things. Perfect. Extra money. Soon, my name started blowing up in my small town. I did everything from repairing fences to installing toilets. I took everything I learned from plumbing and from working for contractor and used it to build a reputation. References, check. This is when I decided it was time to open my own business. Again, I did my research and learned all I had to do to open said business. I'll spare you the details, but it was basically business license, how they get an LLC, liability insurance, think of a name not already taken, blah blah blah. It took a while, but I sent in all that I had and prayed to whatever God is there for me to be invited to take the test. I waited and waited until about 3 weeks and finally I got a letter inviting me to the next test. It was a 3-hour drive and on a Tuesday. Great, another speed bump. Have to miss work and pay $300. The day of the test came and I panicked. It was open book, but I eventually ran out of time and didn't get to finish. I was so disappointed in myself that I basically gave up. I just decided to keep working my job and a little side business. A week later I was holding my son. He is a beautiful blonde-haired blue-eyed reflection of myself. After I managed to get him to sleep, I stared at him and wondered if I would be able to give him a better life than I had. I remember growing up in shitty trailers, being hungry and made fun of at school because I wore clothes from Walmart. Not the best way to grow up, but I had a roof over my head. I always wanted video games that my friends had but never got it. I wanted to go to trampoline parks and water parks. I've only been once in my entire life. That's about when my resolve renews itself within me. I had to do this. Not only for me but for him. I saved up all over again and came up with the $300 and requested for a retake of the test. I took practice tests online so I was ready. The day came and I barely managed to pass. But I still passed the test and received my license. Now time for the fun part. With all of the time passing, I became pretty close friends with the owner of the reality company. Going to BBQs, stopping to tell him some corny joke I saw on Facebook, and doing extra tasks not under contractor. One day, I came into his office and saw some invoices from contractor on his desk. I just said, "Wow, that's how much you're paying him? Dude, he should at least take it a little bit easy on you being that you have known each other for so long." He just nodded and said, "You think so?" And he just looked at the papers more. Since then I would say little comments about how much contractor was being paid and how many houses we could buy with that money. Just planting seeds in his mind that I slowly water until they turn into a beautiful garden of resentment. Finally, owner calls me and wants me to come to his house for a beer and to talk business. We've done this a few times before. It's usually about his wife or hit last time he played golf. I pull into his driveway and he told me to meet him out back. After the usual how are yous, he tells me that him and contractor had a bit of an argument and they are limiting him from now on. Then he turned to me and said, "There is a meeting Friday. I want you there at 9 o'clock. I hesitate. I wasn't sure what it could have been. You know how your parents would ask, "Do you have something to tell me?" And as a kid you would go into a panic and think about all the bad shit you did at school? No. Just me? Okay. Sure, I'll be there. I managed to say calmly through a scrambled mind. A few beers and stories about fishing trips, I headed home. That was today. I was so excited to write this, I started as soon as I got home. The meeting is on Friday. If you want me to, I'll update after the meeting. Sorry it was so long. I guess I was excited, scared of what is about to happen. The way I see it, it can go one of two ways. I could be asked to take contractor's place and have contractor work for me. They fought about what I had said about prices, and they came to an agreement that they need to confront me and or fire me. Update. So I went to the meeting this morning and as I came in everyone shook my hand. Some I've seen before and said hi how are you, S2, others I have never met in my life. This was an investor meeting. Some of these people are worth figures in the 9 digits. I was internally freaking out after finding out, but if you've read, you know I know how to keep my cool. After our greetings we sat down and waited. It wasn't clear who we were waiting on until an hour later contractor walks in with his usual stained t-shirt and cargo shorts, while I am in a nice dress shirt and tie. Everyone made a face and greeted contractor while we got settled again. Contractor didn't seem to notice me until we all sat back down. I saw him do a double take and give me a look that said, "What the fuck are you doing here?" I had requested off today so I could only imagine what he was thinking. After introducing the new investors to the old investors, owner got started saying about how we were going to have an amazing 2019 and an amazing future for the company. About 2 hours of production values and budget stuff blah blah. He turned to me and said, "I would just like to take the time to congratulate OP for passing the general contractor's exam and his newly acquired business." I smiled and thanked him, then he continued. "As we are growing, we have a demand for new and inspiring people within our company. After hearing about OP's success in both our company and his, I would like to personally ask him a question in front of the whole team." My heart pounding in my throat as each word sounded slower than the last. I took a side glance at contractor that is visibly sweating at this point. "OP, how would you like to our new property manager? You may still have your business and do your own work. But we will pay you exclusively to be our personal contractor and help take care of all new and old properties." Everyone turns to me and I take a second to respond. Just then contractor stand up and says, "What the fuck? I'm your goddamn contractor. I've been your contractor for over a decade. You can't just replace me for some dipshit that doesn't know what he is doing." Owner smugly looks at contractor and says, "We're not replacing you. You will just answer to him now. All tasks, orders and billing will go through him now. If you would like to still work for us, granted you mind your mouth and tone, you will run anything you do by OP." Contractor looks enraged and he turns to me, "You, are fired. You have no business here anymore, now leave." Owner chuckles and says, "You don't have that power anymore. As long as OP agrees to my question." I turn to him and say, "Are you sure you can afford me?" I laugh and shake his hand. "Yes. This is all I have ever wanted. All that I have worked for. Now we can get some real work done." Contractor stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind him, and I didn't see him for the rest of the day. After he left we continued to discuss the goals for this year, and it's out they bought 60 new houses for me to work on with the investors' money, and he just looked at me and said, Can you handle that? I happily said, yes sir, trying to keep my eyes from watering. All I thought about was my family and how proud they would be of me. In a little under a year, I received a great license, my own business and pretty much non-stop work. If there is anything you guys reading can take from this, I hope it will be this. Don't settle in life. Be hungry to better yourself, and be the best person you can be. The only person stopping you is yourself. Again, I'm sorry that it is so long. When I wrote the first part, I've had a few drinks, and when I got home I continued drinking all. I could condense it, but I'm not going to due to the fact that it was a pure reaction of it all. The puzzle coming together, if you will. Thanks for reading.